Gayatri, would you take out a minute and give me an introduction about your profile, your technical background, your current technical expertise?
I'm Gayathri. I'm a recent master's graduate in AI. Before that, I worked in Wipro for 5 years as a Python developer for AI chatbots. I was responsible for a lot of the tasks regarding chatbots and even took ownership of multiple major chatbots for internal clients. I worked from conception till deployment, post-production release as well. Most of my tasks involved around creating, enhancing, implementing, deploying, and maintaining these chatbots. And the frameworks that I worked with were mostly Python-based core frameworks. They
Hmm.
also worked with Microsoft Bot Framework SDK. I also worked with some machine learning NLP, such as Rasa, NLU, and Lewis. And I'm an avid problem solver. I always love to solve a problem and to find a solution to a common problem, no matter how out of scope it may be, or depending on what the urgency of the team requires. I also collaborate well within a team. So yeah, and I'm looking for a good opportunity where I can, contribute with my existing skills as well as grow with through new skills.
Got it. Got it. Great. So you mentioned about chatbots. Can you tell
Yes.
me, did you work on building chatbots all from scratch, or you used any framework, like any online or offline platform, which is like a chatbot builder tool, and you use that, or you built it everything from scratch?
Initially, I worked on a chatbot through a framework that was already implemented by previous developers. So I worked
Mm-hmm.
on that. It was not just about implementing chatbots, it was also implementing core functionalities that would be common between all the chatbots. There was a core application system with Python-based frameworks and machine learning libraries. I also
Got it.
used a Rise script, a basic dialogue creation scripting language to do the basic dialogue functionalities of the chatbots. But while within that, the back end part of it was all done using Python. And I also worked on the NLU side. We had an NLU engine as well, where I also implemented multiple features within it. And that was one of our main, machine learning models that we used to deploy with the chatbots. And later on, we also used a Microsoft Bot development framework in Python, which followed a kind of waterfall model where there was a main class and then there were subsequent classes after it. And I implemented the dialogue flows as well accordingly. So I also, yeah, so that's what I mainly worked on.
Great. So I'll be taking this interview in a bottom to top direction. We'll start with very basic from Python, then
Mm.
we'll move towards NLP, we'll move towards Azure, we'll move towards other directions as well. Broadly,
Okay.
we will go from simple to complex as a direction. Let's
Okay.
begin with Python. So in Python, when you work with functions, multiple functions, there is something called as global. What is global in Python?
So
Global
my
keyword.
understanding is would be for global variables. So it would be like each variable usually has its own scope, like an area where it can be accessed. So usually it can be accessed within the main program everywhere, or it could only be accessed within a certain function if it was only defined in that function, or even a certain loop if it was only there. And a global variable would be one that is you can access in any function, any loop, everywhere. So if you have, say, like a variable inside a function, another function would not be able to access it, or the main function would not be able to access it. But if it was a global variable, it could be accessed everywhere.
Okay, let's proceed forward towards natural language processing side. So give me an idea about what is lemmatization and what is stemming and how do they differ from each other?
Okay. So basically, when you have like an input, say a textual input, and you divide it into tokens, you do some stemming and lemmatization. So stemming would be like pruning out the unnecessary parts of each word, and I think yeah, I think stemming is where yeah, and then lemmatization would be so each word, the same word could be written in different ways. So for example, jump can be written as jumping or jumped, and to make sure that it understands, these all belong to the same root word, that is jump. We use lemmatization to associate it with the root word, which is jump. So yeah, that's my understanding of it.
How do they differ, stemming and lemmatization?
So yeah, stemming is more like removing unnecessary parts, and
How about lemmatization?
lemmatization is more like associating each word with the root word, like replacing it.
Are there any similarities as well between them?
Mm, I'm not exactly sure. Sorry.
No problem.
Mm.
So there are, now moving to next question, there are confusingly similar terms and people often use them interchangeably. However, there is some difference between them, which
Mm.
is NLP, NLU, and NLG. Can you tell me about each one of them?
So what was the last one? NLG,
G, yeah.
NLD.
G for
Okay, okay.
goat.
Okay. I actually I have not heard of NLG, sorry, but I can
Okay.
talk. Okay, so NLU is natural language understanding, and
Mm-hmm.
NLP is natural language processing. So what I understand is NLP is more like how do I take each word or token in an input and how to process it to get the desired result. And NLU is more like how do I figure out the meaning behind each input and try to make an inference based on it. That's what I understand.
Okay. NLG is natural language generation. I'm
Okay,
sure you've worked on it, but you just don't know it by that term. That is okay.
okay.
Okay. So give me a difference between traditional NLP based models versus modern day LLMs. How do they differ?
So traditional models initially used more basic classification and regression algorithms like linear and logistic. And LLMs use algorithms that are much more advanced versions of these.
No, I'm
LLMs
saying
all
basic NLP models, not,
basic
uh,
NLP model.
yeah, NLP models versus LLM models.
Okay.
So, okay, let me rephrase my question. LLM and this whole buzz has been developed in 2017. Before that, we still used to process text. Autocomplete was a thing, autocorrect was a thing. How do those models differ from modern day ChatGPT and Claude and other tools?
Okay. So in older NLP models, they usually used. Sorry, I just zoned out a bit. Sorry about that. Yeah, they
No problem.
used like LSTMs, so it's like long short-term memory where
Mm-hmm.
they could store something which is generally to be not to be stored for a very long time, but still longer than usual. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that's what they traditionally used before that, but then it became more obsolete, and now LLMs use more modern transformers like BERT and Roberta, XLNet, these kind of
Okay.
things. Another thing is, especially with the generative AI side, the concept of RAG was also brought within these LLMs. So RAG is retrieval augmented generation, where the machine learning model doesn't simply answer within its own knowledge base. It also has the capacity to go and search within other documents or other knowledge bases and find an answer if it cannot find one within the existing uh, model.
Got it. We'll come to RAG in a while.
Mm,
So I'm going back again to the phase of NLP to LLM transition. There is a very famous series of model called as GPT. We have version
okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. Today we are
Mm,
standing at version 5.
mm,
We also have a series of algorithms called as BERT.
mm.
How do they differ? And also, as a quick question, can you tell me the base algorithm name for both GPT and BERT? They are derived from what algorithm? And then you tell me what is the differentiation.
I'm not sure of the base algorithm both are derived from.
Okay, no problem. Go ahead. Difference
Okay.
between both of them?
So GPT uses a RAG framework, like I mentioned before, and BERT models are bidirectional. Mm,
What does it
yeah.
mean to be bidirectional?
So I think it's something like you can go back and retrain it.
No. What is the full form of GPT and full form of BERT? You have idea?
So but but I actually forgot GPT also.
Okay, do you know what is T in GPT and BERT stands for?
No, actually.
Okay. Have you ever heard of transformer architecture?
Yes.
Okay, so just as a reference, although I'll give my feedback at the very last, but T in GPT and BERT is transformer.
Okay.
Generative pre-trained transformer and bidirectional encoder representation transformer, which is also the parent algorithm for both of them. Both of them
Okay.
are different types of transformers. Transformer is a different algorithm which acted as a base for them. Anyways, so but you mentioned in your profile a lot about BERT-based algorithms like Roberta, DBERTA.
No, they're not. Yeah, those are models that I retained and worked on for my dissertation.
Correct, but you're not able to tell me basic definition of what BERT is. That's little challenging, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I've
Yeah.
lost a bit of touch in between, so I'm trying to prepare again.
Okay. How is your comfort with machine learning? The data science and machine learning part.
So more on I'm more comfortable on the basics side, like what are the steps and some
Okay.
basic algorithms.
Okay. Differentiate between overfitting and underfitting.
So underfitting is more like when the machine learning model fails to satisfy all the data points, like it fails to bring in the correct output for the given input. And overfitting is more like it tries to give correct in output for all the input based on the expected values, but it does that too much so that it does not consider like outliers. Like outliers confuse them, like outlier values can confuse it, and it could give like a wrong value later on.
Okay. There is also a third category. Overfit and underfit both are considered bad, but there is a
Hmm,
third category which is good. What is that category called? For example, we say
hmm,
we don't want our model to overfit. We
hmm,
don't want our model to be underfit. We want our model to be XYZ. What is that XYZ?
Optimal.
Okay, I'll take it. Yes, it's
Hmm,
usually called as good fit or best fit,
good fit.
but
Okay,
that's,
okay.
yeah.
Hmm,
Okay, so imagine I got a data, I cleaned that data, and I trained a model. Now I tell you that you have to check is it overfit model or underfit or best fit. How will you check it? The size of the training data is 1,50,000 rows. What steps will you take? What mechanism will you follow? And then you give me a conclusion that this is overfit or underfit or best fit.
Okay, so I wouldn't take the entire data set. I would only take a part of it, but I would make sure that it's quite uniform. Like there's enough examples for each class output,
Mhm.
and I would make sure to train it and then evaluate it. But I would also, split that into training and testing data. So
Okay.
I would usually take like 80 to 20%, 80% training, 20% testing. And while I train it with the 80%, the test 20% would not have been trained within it yet. So it would actually be like unknown data to the machine learning model. And I would make sure to check like while the training itself is evaluating correctly with the trained examples. I will also make sure to check with the text test examples and try to see how well it does. So
Mhm.
if it does well with the training examples, like if the validation side goes well, but it performs poorly with the test data, I would say it's overfitting. If it doesn't do well even in the training data itself, I would say it's underfitting. But if it does well and it's still able to give a good accuracy with the unknown test data, I would say it's a good fit.
Okay. Nice, nice representation. So let's go back a little. There are few data splitting techniques which ensures that every split has equal proportion from every category. Something
Yeah,
like that you also mentioned. Can you
yeah.
name what type of split that is?
I remember learning a term about it, but uh, let me see. I think is it something called like a uniform split?
No.
Okay. Mm, like a class balance.
Yeah, but there's a name associated with it. What is that name?
Mm,
Okay. So, name one algorithm of machine learning which is tend to overfit most likely, or most of the time it is going to overfit if you do not control the hyperparameters.
okay. Would this be a basic algorithm or something more advanced?
Yeah, very common. One of the first 10, 15 algorithms that anybody studies in the
Okay,
initial days.
okay. So I think it would be linear regression.
Oh, linear regression has higher tendency to underfit.
Oh,
Why
okay,
do
okay,
you think
sorry.
it will overfit?
Yeah, yeah, you're right. I so okay. Um, what about logistic regression?
No.
Okay. Mm,
Okay. It's actually tree-based algorithms, decision trees. There, if you work with decision tree, you do not pass max depth value, then by default it will never stop. It will keep going on and on and on until it classifies or accurately predict last value, even a single value. So we have to stop it with max depth, otherwise it is having high tendency to overfit always. It can grow up to a depth of 500, 600, 700 just to fit that last one point.
okay.
Okay, I'm coming little out of this. Do you know there is something called as correlation analysis in stats?
Yeah. Is it something related to finding similarity scores?
Yes, somewhat.
Yeah.
Why do we use correlation?
I think like when when calculating the weights when using machine learning algorithms, I think a correlation metrics helps to calculate some sort of similarities to make
Okay.
sure that those weights are calculated more correctly.
Okay. I can see your resume. You have mentioned, like, let me just open it. You have mentioned so many programming languages like C, C++,
Yeah, yeah,
C
I have
sharp.
worked with them, but the thing is, I'm kind of out of touch now. I'm still learning them back.
But you mentioned them as skills. So, okay. What is the difference between SQL and PostgreSQL? What add-on does PostgreSQL provide?
So I think it provides like there are some basic data types in SQL like char, where char, number, and everything. PostgreSQL also has that, but it also has like another data type called text, where you can add on as a lot of characters within it.
Yeah. You mentioned about RabbitMQ. What is RabbitMQ?
So it's a messaging queue system.
Okay.
It
What does it mean?
so my understanding it takes inputs into a queue and then pushes it accordingly based on time and priority.
Okay. So let's move a little towards software development side,
Okay.
specific or the DevOps side, I would say, since you also have
Hmm.
mentioned a lot of cloud and Docker and Git. Let's start with very basic. Tell me difference between Git and GitHub.
Okay. So Git is the version control.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a tracker system that whenever you make an update and whenever you like commit it, like put it, it always keeps track of everything, like even every small update. And you can also like roll back to different versions, and you can also set approvals. So like if some junior developers want to commit something, they can give a pull request and the seniors can look at it, give reviews, and then accordingly push it to from a development branch to a main branch or a master branch. So Git is a tool that does all these things, and GitHub is a platform where anyone can create an account, create some projects, and perform Git operations on them.
Got it. Got it.
And also, yeah, they can
Did you work
also
with GitHub?
make it. Yeah, I haven't industrial wise. I worked with Azure Git, and with GitHub I have used it otherwise.
Okay. Got it. So let's proceed further into this job description. And I see there is a lot of mention about prompt engineering, RAG, LLM, and things around that. Let's talk a little around what is RAG. You already mentioned RAG. You think you seem to be very confident on RAG. Let's talk about what is RAG.
Yeah, so RAG is like I mentioned before, when a machine learning, when an LLM is not able to find an answer within its own knowledge base, and it's able to go and fetch it from another knowledge base, say a document or some other source of knowledge. So yeah, so that's what know about RAG. So it's
What
able to
about
retrieve. Hmm.
what about fine tuning? What's fine tuning?
So fine tuning is basically whenever you're training a machine learning model, you have a lot of parameters to consider, such as batch size, like how many batches you wanted to train, and epochs, like how long do you want it to train, and basically some learning rates depending on the algorithms you're using, some regularization if you're using that, and so fine tuning is basically like modifying these values to uh, find out which model works best among them when training it.
So If I want a customized version of model, I'm not
Mm,
saying customized is only fine tuning. In a way, I want my model to have some extra knowledge than the default.
mm.
So, should I choose RAG or fine tuning? What is the mechanism to decide about that? How do you process that information?
So, you mean to say whether to use RAG or fine tuning if you want the knowledge model to learn a bit more?
No, no, I don't know. Let's say I'm a non-technical person. I have
Mm,
a scenario and I know that ChatGPT in its base version is not performing very well. So somebody said
mm.
me use fine tuning, somebody said me use RAG. How do I
Okay.
decide which one to use when? Both of them improves the knowledge. One improves
Mm,
by training the model, other improves by supplementing add-on data, the RAG
mm.
part. But how do I decide which one is better right now?
So, I would say it depends on the custom, it do depend on what customers would potentially be using it and what kind of queries, what kind of requests they have, like what do they want to search for. So if they are more likely people that tend to search for something outside of the scope of the knowledge model, I would advise the RAG to be used in training the LLM. Otherwise, if it's something that's not too major, that could be like just tweaked. I would suggest fine tuning just to improve the existing performance.
Makes sense. So let's go a little deeper in RAG. We use vector databases. We store embedding in them. So can you name one vector database which you have used or have heard about?
Mm, yeah, yes, yeah, sorry, the thing is, I don't remember the names. There was something called. I know that there is something where certain if certain keywords are there, it gets represented by one, otherwise zero, and each word would be divided into a vector to represent that.
Have you heard of Chroma DB?
No, I haven't.
Haven't. Okay. Okay. Let's say I'm building an application which is using LLM at its backend. I want my application to hold context. Let me explain
Mm,
again. As a user, I am sending a message. The response is coming back. Now I'm sending another message. And LLM is treating both the requests as very fresh request. It's not understanding that the previous message is also part of the same series of discussion. How do I make it
okay.
happen?
So, do you mean to say that it ignores the previous message when responding to the message after it? It doesn't
Exactly.
consider. Okay, okay.
Yeah, in API calls, every API call is different. So what mechanism do I have with which I can connect both the API calls and say these are in continuation?
Okay. Uh, okay. I think it would be something similar to predicting the next word, right? In a sense.
No, not
Okay, okay.
necessary.
Mm,
So I said, hi, my name is Saurabh and I am visiting California.
mm.
It says, okay, great, something like that. And then I say another message, which places to visit there? Now, if you do not
Okay,
know that California was used in the previous message, you cannot answer this which places to visit there.
gotcha. Okay. So when I worked with NLUs, the main concepts were in intent classification and entity extraction. So intent would be trying to figure out what category that input could belong to, and entity would be like what value, a certain value, to try to figure out what that value is. It could be a name, it could be a ticket number, it could be a date, something like that. So I think the LLM would do some entity extraction initially when it comes to the names and places, certain keywords or nouns like that mentioned, and store it. And then you use that when to answer the next input.
Have you heard of session IDs?
Yes.
So how session IDs will be useful here?
So each user would have like a particular session ID based on their credentials, name, maybe employee number, and everything. So this would be useful because if let's say if it was not there and two users were like, hey, my name is Saurav, or and another one was like, hey, my name is Gayatri, then the LLM should not confuse Saurav as Gayatri or vice versa. To make
Mm-hmm.
sure that the information provided by each user does not get mixed up. The history also does not get mixed up. So keeping unique session IDs for each helps to keep that organized.
Okay. So what is your understanding of responsible AI?
So my understanding would be that an AI should not lack any kind of security or confidentiality. So if someone is using it and sharing sensitive data, it should not leak it to someone else or something else. And another one is it should not try to go beyond you can say what the user is expecting. It should not try to be disobedient in a way,
Okay.
and
Any
it should
thoughts
not
around?
also not try to make any kind of hallucinations or false information if it does not know something.
Okay. Any concerns around fairness, biasness, accountability?
Yes, that's also important. It should be able to answer questions without leaning towards a particular side. It should be able to handle it more diplomatically, and it should also, yeah, it should also provide answers in a responsible manner, such that it's quite reliable and authorized enough to do the same.
Okay. Got it. So, Gayatri, my understanding of your profile, I was able to make a decent understanding about your profile. Firstly, thank you. You answered almost every question with best of your attempt. Of course, some of them were not so right, some of them or many of them were absolutely right. Many of them were somewhere in the gray area. So it was a mix
Mm,
of the whole spectrum.
okay.
I would provide you my feedback, and we need to understand that this is just 30 minutes of conversation. It's too less to understand a person, but this is exactly what all of you are going to face in an interview. You may
Mm,
have done so much of work in one area. Coincidentally, your interviewer doesn't talk about that area and grade you very low.
yeah.
Coincidentally, the interviewer only talks about that area and grade you very high, where you know that I am not that high, but my luck was with me. So it's
Mm,
a fair amount of luck involved as well in any interview,
yes.
whether
Mm,
you give it or I give it or anybody gives it at
mm,
any time.
mm,
So, based on last 30-35 minutes of our conversation, I understood that you have had practical experience of working with LLM. The good
mm,
things first, you have a lot of tools in your skill set. You may not
mm,
have explored the depth with them, but you have certain top level knowledge about Git, about Docker. Docker, I did not test you on, but you mentioned. So I'm
mm,
assuming that is there because you answered for most of the question. You have experience, a little deeper experience with LLM and RAG building experience. You do know about machine learning and AI as well. your resume looks like a very full package. If I see this resume manually,
Yeah.
I don't know about how ATS and other softwares work. If I see this
Mm,
resume, I will not at least reject it on the resume
mm,
screening level. And then if
mm.
you can defend your resume in the interview, if you can
Yeah.
defend every question which is mentioned, which every topic which is mentioned in your resume, most likely it guarantees you the job, a technology job. But
Yeah.
I think we need to work a lot in defending that resume. Resume
Mm,
is so good, but defense needs to be improved. Like, even though your LLM oriented answers were appropriate, but when I went down to machine learning and data science side, I think we need a lot more improvement there.
mm.
And that is an area where we need to work on.
Okay.
Also, your DevOps part was good. Oh, it
Mm,
would be not an appropriate feedback, the thing I'm going to say right now. It will not be very appropriate or relevant for the placement interview you have just after a few days. But in general, I
okay.
am suggesting try to find one thing that you resonate with, maybe one, maybe two,
Mm,
maybe three, and then build deeper on that. I guess your profile has a lot of width, which is not
mm,
bad, but it
mm.
becomes bad when you uh, mention something and you do not defend that really well. If you can defend it, then
Okay.
nothing better than that. But it is
Okay.
not possible to defend everything, right? You
Mm,
can have limited exposure given that
mm,
amount of time we put in. So we should try to stick with one thing and build depth in that, and then another thing, and then another thing. It's okay if we don't have
mm.
100 tools, but only 50 tools, maybe 30 tools, but the
Mm.
depth is very high in all of them.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is my feedback. Overall, the profile is very, very good. You also have working experience. Your answers seemed like you did not cram it. It's not possible to cram
Mm,
so much. You did
mm,
build some projects or did
mm,
have some hands-on experience. I
mm.
don't know why I'm feeling, but you also have some sort of scalable work experience, like where you built a project or worked on a project which was on a very high scale of consumption.
Yes. Yes, it was.
Okay, great. So that also must have given you so much of experience around the same thing. When a project goes to a few thousand users or
Mm,
even 800, 900 users, it gives very different type of it raises different type of challenges, and when you solve those challenges, you learn from it.
okay.
So I am satisfied if I have to give you a score on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 means guaranteed job clearance, 1 means guaranteed not clearance, I would rank you somewhere around 8.5 to 9. I see there are
Okay.
few
Thank
things
you.
that you need to improve.
Mm,
As a quick suggestion, if I have to give, I would
okay.
say make two sections in your resume.
Mm,
One part should highlight this is something that I know exactly in detail. You can ask me anything. And the
mm,
second part where you say, I know certain things among this. Because what
mm.
happens otherwise, now I can see a rabbit MQ is second skill mentioned in your profile from the top,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Now, if you do not justify rabbit MQ's definition, practical experience, then I think
Mm,
that, okay, maybe everything else is also like this. If you
okay.
make an honest separation and you defend your deep skills part, the core
Mm,
skills part, and you
okay.
partially defend your side skills part, it would be a better experience, I guess,
Yeah.
for the
Got it.
interviewer as well as for you. It'll be more
Okay.
transparent and honest resume.
Got it.
So this is my feedback. Now I'm open
Mm,
for questions from you and everybody else around
okay.
anything we spoke
So,
about.
yeah, thank you so much, Sora, for your time and for your feedback. So, actually, the interview I have on Friday, it's more of a coding interview. So, I would be doing a sort of pair programming with two people. And
Mhm.
the hiring manager in my previous interview told me it would be around a RAG pipelines and on chatbots. So, so do you have any other suggestions other than the feedback you mentioned to prepare for that aspect?
Yes, so you should definitely check beforehand that which tool we are going to use to build on. Are we going to build
Mm,
on Azure? Are we going to build on AWS? And if you know the tool, you should practice out that tool very, very well to build on RAG.
Okay. Okay.
You missed out a few points on responsible AI. You should check a little more about biasness, accountability, etc. Although it
Mm,
makes no sense when you are dealing with coding interviews. But in general, I'm
mm,
saying. So for
okay.
coding interviews, I would say brushing up your Python skills and
Mm,
get to know about tools. Which tool you're
mm,
going to, what is the technology stack? Like, are you going to use Azure or AWS or Google or any other
mm,
tool? You need to get comfortable with the tool because every tool is not more than 50-60% same. There are
mm,
30-40-50% of differences as well that
yeah.
we need to get comfortable with, even if, like, for example, I do have relatively much higher experience in Azure and AWS and very less experience in Google Cloud. So if
Okay.
you give me the same task, I will struggle in Google Cloud. I
Mm,
don't know what's your preferred cloud platform and how much you have the comfort. So if you are going to appear in an interview, you should definitely ask for the tool. If they allow, if they answer that or not, that I don't know. And if you
mm,
get the answer, you should definitely practice out the
mm,
RAG, fine-tuning,
okay.
responsible AI, explainable AI, everything on that.
Okay.
API calls as well, by the way. I'm
Mm,
not sure
yeah.
if you have worked with API calls of OpenAI or any other platform via LangChain or maybe without LangChain. Try to work with their SDKs and API calls.
Okay.
Right. So that is all from my side.